My primary goal here is to have this conversation, have it with love, but to have it once. What's good, everybody? Thank you so much for tuning back into the channel. My name is Brendan, aka 20 Days of June, and if you click this video, you know what we're talking about. We are talking about black men in media and cancel culture. It's time for us to have a conversation. I've sat down, I've nuanced it, I have notes. This is not coming off the dome because it can't. This is too big of a conversation for it to come off the dome. So I hope you guys can receive this, and I hope black men can understand where cancel culture is coming from, and I hope cancel culture can understand where black men in media are coming from. And I hope we can meet at a point where we realize what is really happening. This conversation is coming as a continuation from DaBaby being canceled because of his double down on his homophobic comments at Rolling Loud. I did discuss this on my Patreon because his PR apology did come out, and of course it didn't work, and I said that I was going to have a larger, more nuanced conversation on the channel, and of course I'm keeping my promises. Now, just for a disclaimer that I don't feel like I should have to, but I am, because some people are just gonna say, well, you said blah 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 in the comments, and I'm just gonna say shut the fuck up. But let's be clear here. When I say white and black, I'm talking about whiteness. I'm talking about the theory of whiteness, not saying all white people are bad, although there are plenty of bad white people, and if you're a good white person, you should be doing something about that. I'm talking about culture. I'm talking wide span. We know there are no monoliths, okay? Everybody in this room right now is smart. Let's clear that out of the way. So let's start off talking about what is cancel culture in general. Back when I started to come of cancel culture, there wasn't a name for it. It was just a word we used when we said, we are pulling support for this person. Because basically, when you live in the world and every day, this is what you do. You have to go out in the world, you have to live. Politicians are making decisions. You are paying into these brands, these people who are supposed to be representing people like you. Or maybe at some point, that is what you thought. I think when it came to the degree of standing, you only wanted to put that much energy into people who liked people like you. So if you're black, you're not gonna stand somebody who doesn't like black people. If you're gay, you're not gonna stand somebody who doesn't stand with the gays. If you're Asian, you're not gonna give support to somebody who doesn't like Asians. That literally puts money in politicians' hands that make life harder for you. And you're not gonna do that. You're just not. So that's what cancel really means. It's taking your support away from somebody. At least that's what it was meant to mean. Perfect example is when R. Kelly finally got what he deserved. Black women and people who loved black women and black girls, notice there's a difference between the two, no longer wanted to show support to R. Kelly because they realized that R. Kelly was taking the money from his support with music and using it to abuse black women and girls. And if you love or care anything about black women and girls, there's just not a song in the planet that means that much that you need to stream it or buy it for such a predator. It's not. And so therefore goes cancellation. However, cancellation does not seem to be equal, because when you're talking about cancellation of black people, and when you're talking about cancellation of black men specifically, black men feel like permanent cancellation is only a thing that happens to black men, especially black media personalities, black people in entertainment in general. When you're canceled, you're done. Cancel culture feels like a trapdoor to hell that you can spend your entire life working towards a career, building a brand, and then one day it'll be an allegation, it'll be an accusation, it can be any form of anything, and you're guilty immediately. It's like you're walking through life with two strikes. There are no checks and balances, there is no insurance, there is no benefit of the doubt in the court of public opinion. It is just instant guilt. Suddenly you lose all your brand deals, you lose all your endorsements, all your money is gone, and your life's work fizzles into nothing. And black men don't like that. It's scary for black men who feel like they're good people. And it makes you feel like if you keep feeding this beast that seems to be eating black men consistently, constantly, why do I want to embolden cancel culture? And then that leads black men in media, black men in entertainment, to every time someone gets canceled, to feel the need to not embolden cancel culture, whether they agree with the person being canceled or not. They don't want to feed the beast, because it almost feels like it may not be your time yet, but TikTok. And when you think about it, there are plenty of white people who are still allowed to work, although they've been canceled and although they have plenty of transgressions. I walk in my supermarket every single day and I see Wahlburgers. I see Mark Wahlberg, who has had racist attacks on his resume against blacks, against Asians, sure, when he was a teenager, but they still exist. Justin Bieber is still citing Martin Luther King and sampling I Have a Dream on the album. Sarah Silverman has done blackface and she still works on Comedy Central wherever she wants to. Donald Trump got to be the president. There is no permanent cancellation when it comes comes to white celebrities committing social transgressions. It is just a fact. Even Madonna, although she's queen of the gays, was allowed to speak up and got praised for slamming and aiding and abetting the cancellation of DaBaby. But in 2014, a lot of people don't remember that Madonna did call her white son #disnigga on Instagram. And although she had to apologize, I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like Madonna, who is slave owner age, didn't know that she wasn't supposed to be saying nigga, first of all. And Madonna has adopted black children. So it's kind of like, okay, I understand the way this is going. It's not equal. But in order to unpack this, we have to assess the reason why that is. The reality is cancel culture is not about who likes who anymore. It's not even about real morality. It is all about market value. And black culture, black entertainment has only ever really mattered to the degree that it is profitable for those who are paying for it and benefiting from it. Straight white corporations. Black music, black films, black entertainment, all that has always been pillaged by white culture. That is how it is here in America and in the world. And I don't see that changing. If we're even thinking about the conversations that we were having when Elvis was stealing music, and then the conversations we're having about TikTok dances, the same shit is happening. So therefore, that leads black culture to have to become more homogenized. And for everybody, black music, it becomes safer, tamer, round, smooth around the edges. In rap, we call it pop, right? And then you have to think about that in the music you make and the things you say and the moves you make as a black person, because who's sponsoring that festival? The white straight corporation. Who's buying the tickets? The white kid. That changes the music. That changes your actions. That changes the way you act in the public eye. It becomes performative. Unless you want to be niche. And niche programming doesn't have to play by these rules. I listen to a lot of hip hop that may not be the most inclusive, says things about women, definitely says homophobic things sometimes, and I just choose not to speak about it on this channel because it's not a voice or a message that I want to amplify. If I want to hear it when I'm in the gym, or if I like the beat or whatever I need to use that energy or that music for, that's on me. But I don't feel the need to bring that to other people to embolden it if I don't even believe in the message. That's not what this is for. So it's not going to stand on this platform. And those people will never see an inclusive dollar. And I'm okay with that. And I hope they're okay with that too. The problem is, I know the CMT Awards have people who are just as offensive to culture, that are allowed to access money, that are allowed to see inclusive dollars, that are allowed because it's all sponsored by Viacom and they get their own award show. They see ad revenue, they pack out concerts, and they are niche because white culture is for white people and black culture is for everybody. They are their own market value. And we are also a part of their market value. Unfortunately. Perfect example I love to use and think about in this regard is Taylor Swift, because in 2016, Taylor Swift caught a lot of heat because she would not publicly endorse Hillary Clinton. Now, I don't necessarily think that Taylor Swift has to endorse Hillary Clinton or anybody, because some people, A, just don't want to stand next to politics, and maybe Taylor Swift just didn't like Hillary, and that is her prerogative. I would have liked for her to have not endorsed Trump in silence the way that she did, but that is what she did when she didn't endorse Hillary. And also at the time, there was a major alt-right presence going on in the country, and they were hailing Taylor Swift as an Aryan goddess, and all people needed Taylor Swift to say was, I disavow white supremacy. And she wouldn't do it. And the reason why she wouldn't do it is because she needed to sell albums. She needed to sell tickets. They are her bread and butter. She knew that. She couldn't lose. She didn't want them to cancel her. And that has nothing to do with morality. She didn't want to be canceled for not being racist. It takes money out of her pocket, no matter what she believes in personally. I'm not saying I think Taylor Swift is a racist, but I am saying that Taylor Swift counts a lot of racist coins. I couldn't cancel Taylor Swift because I don't support Taylor Swift, right? So there's nothing I could do or say about Taylor Swift that's really gonna change anything. I don't listen to the music, I don't buy the tickets, so it doesn't matter. The reality of the situation is, in order for you to be a black artist, a black creative, anywhere that you see any form of ad revenue, you do have to, your content, the way people view you, it has to go through the white gaze. When I say white gaze, I don't mean white gaze, I mean white gaze. So we will only see the viewpoints of black people, the sentiments of black people in the pop space that they endorse. It is whatever they want to be seen will be seen, and whatever they don't want to be seen will not be seen on that platform, because the money is coming from the straight white corporations. And the craziest point about this is, politically, most of them are left-leaning, and the left doesn't even believe in censorship. The left doesn't believe in cancellation. The left doesn't believe in any of this. But what the left does believe in is coin. and market value. So while you are liberal and online and canceling people who are also liberal, you're counting conservative dollars and they're just giving you what you want, even though they don't even believe in what you want. They don't believe in this moral monopoly, but they believe that's what they have to do in order to follow suit. So they just go ahead and do it. That's why I turned on my Fire Stick during the George Floyd situation, and my Amazon Fire Stick told me that Amazon stands with Black lives. Thank you so much. What does that have to do with me? It's just all a game of market value. You wanna know how I know this is a game of market value? Because this is even a thing amongst drag queens. I listen to plenty of podcasts full of drag queens who feel the same way, that they can't be irreverent. They started drag in order to be cutting sometimes and tell off-color jokes and to pick fun at social commentary and to really be the underbelly of society, because that's where society had put them. And so to see any form of real money and market value in that industry, you have to now go through the straight white corporation to collect that ad dollar, which then puts you underneath the rat race, whereas the current fans of drag don't want you to say certain things. They want you to act a certain way. They don't want you to feel a certain way. They don't want you to follow this person, stand next to this person. You have to play the game now. And it feels like it's shrinking their art form as well. They're also shrunken by the straight white gaze. I sit in this chair right now, a 6'8" black man in the world. You guys don't experience that because you experience me on YouTube. But in the world, there is this expectation that everybody processes my presence through their own fear first. It's not about who I am. It's about them feeling afraid of me. And I reject that because I don't apologize for my blackness and your fear. And honestly, if you stay on my good side, we won't have any problems anyway. So just stay there. And I know plenty of black men feel the same way and came to the media space to get away from that, to get away from the code switch, to get away from feeling like I have to be somebody else in order to obtain a dollar, because that is a lot of ways what the workplace is about. But here's the issue. When you choose R. Kelly as the caveat to get that done, when you choose DaBaby as the caveat to get that done, when you choose Tory Lanez allegedly as the caveat to get that done, when you ignore the evidence there, the way that story went there, the changing of the story from Tory there, when you decide to take up Bill Cosby to take this message further, when you put allegedly T.I. despite the evidence to get this point across, your point immediately, although it is valid, becomes completely invalid. When you use that to get this very real argument across, you not only lose the argument, but you hurt us all. We are all not those monsters. We're not. Some of us mean well. Some of us do well. Some of us try. And I understand you don't want to feed the beast that sees you the same way. So separate yourself. Try your best. But you don't have to stand up for people who are absolutely wrong in order to get benefit of the doubt for you. Instead, we can separate the conversation and have 3 different conversations. The first conversation, Black culture. We have to clean up our mess. Black culture has these issues, and they're real issues. Domestic violence is a huge issue in our community that if you haven't been affected by it yourself, look into the eyes of another black person you know and you know they have. Our homes are built one way or another on slavery, on trauma, on pain, on hidden secrets, dysfunction, poverty, drugs. Even if that's not you, look around you. Look at the black person next to you. Look at your mother, your parents. Tell me they haven't seen it. They haven't seen the effects. There is something that tells me that you can't tell me that. We have trauma in our communities. We have trauma in our culture that we have to deal with. Homophobia is a big problem in the black community. DaBaby, plenty of us have had sentiments like DaBaby echoed by family, echoed in the barbershop, echoed right next to, we've heard it. Okay, look at the response to legendary trans woman Lena Mugler, Lena Bloom on Instagram, after she was put on the Sports Illustrated cover. Go into the Shade Room comments and see what happened. Go ahead. And you can see the average black opinion. All they were doing was being inclusive for a beautiful trans woman to be seen so other people feel represented. No one asked you to comment. The black community has an issue with homophobia, amongst other things. And my thing is, if we clean up our mess, if we clean up our ecosystem, if we start to change, we won't have to worry about carrying this shit into the white space and then feeling like, well, why can't we make room for it? No, it shouldn't be, it's not right. It shouldn't be coddled anyway. DaBaby deserves to be canceled for what he did and said, even though HIV/AIDS trauma is a very real black issue. That's too bad. You should deal with that. Black people, we have to grow. This is not about getting to a final space where we can have our issues coddled. Regardless of whether it's equal or not, you do not want to create the same evil space that white men have for themselves. Why are you trying to mirror the oppressor? What is that? No, that's not what we want. That's not what I want. I want a better world. I want a more inclusive world. I want a more inclusive world for black people where we include gay black people because gay black people are black. Where we include trans women, where we include bisexuality, when we include all these different things that we know that black people have issues with. Let's call it out. Let's be real about it. These are issues. Y'all are getting into white spaces and collecting white money, and you're getting canceled for a lot of shit that is just problems in the black community. So fix it here, and then you won't have to worry about losing your cute little white checks. Cute, right? I would have loved to have seen Lil Nas X do Industry Baby with DaBaby because DaBaby has extra fun, vibrant videos. Lil Nas X does too. It would have been great. But instead, in order for it to be hip hop enough, Lil Nas X had to go and find a white rapper to do it. He had to get Jack Harlow. Jack Harlow, who tells a lot of gay jokes himself, he just does it in a little white boy way, but they still telling gay jokes. But now all of a sudden, in order for it to be hip hop, you know what I mean? We didn't even go through the black community to get that done and accepted. You guys lost in that regard. Okay, hip hop lost. We have to create a better space, an inclusive space, instead of just trying to have done for you what white men have done for them. I don't want that world. I don't want their power. I want everyone to have power. And you should too. And if you don't, okay, but that's how you're feeding the beast. And that's how you feel like you're getting to the top and you get knocked right back down. Secondly, black elite. Instead of buying Pateks, instead of showing me the houses and all this shit on Instagram, Birkin. How about we go ahead and we try to figure out how we can pay our black creatives, black media, how we can make sure that there is an insurance plan for black media personalities so that way, black entertainers, so that way there is no just trapdoor. How about you catch them? Because trust me, white people have the insurance plan. They are the insurance plan because the money's theirs. And y'all have money. You're just spending it on their shit. So how about we find a way so that way we can flip the ad revenue so that way constantly black elite aren't falling through the trap door. How about we do that so that way you guys can speak up against police brutality. You guys don't feel like you're gonna lose a bag if you speak up for the right things. Because there is a lot of silence, much like Taylor Swift, about certain things because black people don't want to lose their business relationships with bad people. Because y'all get y'all money through basically cooning. There's a lot of that. So if the money comes from a more authentic place with people who actually believe in you and you believe in them, and growing the greater black community is a part of your actual goal, then you can flip that money to make it so. And you can do that in the ad revenue space. So that way, maybe there aren't so many cancellations. I just want to make sure that the cancellations aren't warranted, because if they're warranted, then I don't care. You're canceled. So yeah, that to me is on the black elite. Don't throw the $12 million party. I don't want to hear it. I want to see that flipped into ad money for black creatives. That's what I want to see it. And then I want to see it become an inclusive space within that. So that way it's not always constantly cooning for white dollars. I'm not shucking and jiving for white ad dollars. I'm just not going to do it because that comes with a lot of garbage. And third, moral high grounders, recognize the truth. The digital space is still racist. The algorithms are still racist. Look at TikTok. It's been clocked already that TikTok has a racist algorithm. YouTube's algorithm isn't exactly fair. The outrage, all of these things are disproportionate to black people in the digital space. They just are. If you stand on any form of a real moral high ground, you will recognize this and you will fight for that too. Help black culture and black artists get these things right. Y'all love it so much, you guys. And at some point in time, I believe that there are a lot of people in the digital space and the artist space that want black artists. They want black, everything that they love about black culture, but they don't want black pain. And they don't want a lot of the things that come with it. And I'm not saying that is on y'all. I am saying that there is a large cultural conversation to heal the things that we know are problems in our community. We understand that homophobia, that transphobia, that misogyny, all these things are problems in the black community. And if we know that, and if the world knows that, then there can be understanding behind it. I'm not saying you have to support it, but I am saying if you stand on any form of a real moral high ground, then where is your empathy? Because there's a lot of pain in the black community that's causing these issues in the first place. You will never know what it is like to be black if you're not black. You will never know the things that are buried underneath the surface. Even if you are black, you start to figure out what the fuck this shit is, to be completely honest. It's like, wow, I didn't even know that's where this comes from. That's why my mother did this. That's why my father does that. There's so much to unpack. So by the time you're counting ad dollars and you get on stage and you go on an anti-HIV rant, who knows who was affected by HIV in DaBaby's lineage? Not making an excuse at all. But what I am saying is you're the one on the moral high ground. So where's your empathy? If it's real. Because I don't believe it is. I believe that a lot of cancel culture is being goaded by the white power structure to do exactly what it's doing. There are just visible inequities in the cancellation and who's doing the cancellation, and I think there should be some thought behind that when you're doing it. Not saying decancel the baby, don't say that, because what he did was ridiculous and he was canceled for a reason. But I feel like these conversations are three different distinct conversations, and if we don't have them in those three different ways, then the white power structure, the white straight power structure, is going to continue to win, and it's going to continue to pit these communities against each other. Because between black people and gay people and some that happen to be both, who else is really entertaining? And who else is really vilified by cancel culture? My point. So that's all I have to say. I know this was a little long-winded, but in short, dear black men, you clean up cancel culture by cleaning up black culture. You clean up cancel culture by cleaning up homophobia, transphobia, domestic violence, misogyny, all those things in the black community that we know are problems. If we clean them up here, you won't lose your ad dollars when you get on the Rolling Loud stage, because what are you gonna say? You're just bringing problems that we have in our community to the white space, and then they're being amplified because they know we have those problems. They're the reason we have those problems. Black elite, get your money out of Rolex, get your money out of cars and houses and stuff, and put together a safe haven for black people in media to feel like they can play, to feel like they can create, to feel like they can truly be themselves, because the media space is becoming the workplace again. It's just talking, but it's the workplace when it comes to who's getting the ad dollars and who's not, because the majority of us aren't getting them anyway, because ad space is not fair. They're going to white creatives, they grow about 100 times as fast, and that's frustrating. And then that makes black entertainers, black creatives, it makes them frustrated, and it makes the takes spicier, because there's no money. And third, moral high grounders, have empathy for black people, know what you're canceling for, know what you're being goaded to do, and just cancel with intention. And think. Don't just mob mentality, don't just witch hunt. Understand what's going on. Understand what's going on. Anyway, let me know how you feel about this video below. I hope I wrapped this point up briefly enough, but I know there's a lot of information and I've just been trying to figure out how I wanted to package this up the way I see it in my head. That's why I have a big head, guys, lots of thoughts. Anyway, if you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and never forget, there's no such thing in this world as good or bad people, just complicated stories. Catch you next time.